Harry finds Sybil Bennett at the amusement park. Sybil was taken over by some sort of parasite a little earlier, and now she begins shooting at Harry. The good plus ending, and this is the ending, really, this is the only ending that really matters. The good plus ending requires Harry to throw the liquid on Sybil. This liquid can be found after Harry saves Dr. Kaufman. The substance is known as algophotis. Algophotis. That's a tough one. Algophotis is a combination of the words aglia, which in Greek means brightness, and the word photis, of course, which pertains to the parts of the ocean penetrated by sunlight. That's an interesting phrase there. Or to bring to light. You could just say bring to light. After the giant parasite leaves Sybil's body, Harry stomps on it and then tells Sybil to wake up, snap out of it. From all appearances, Sybil appears to be dead. So why does Harry say this to her? Soon after Sybil is resurrected, or reincarnated as it were, Alessa appears to Harry. So here's where things get really interesting, right? Harry starts asking about Cheryl and demands her whereabouts. And of course, Harry knows. I'm not sure how he knows, but he tells Alessa, "I'd figured you'd show." So Harry's definitely developing a much higher awareness here. The Floros appears and rises into the air. The light from the Floros illuminates the room and casts a spotlight on Alessa before the light is seen entering her body. Something new is revealed. It seems as if Alessa was under a spell that Dahlia could no longer control. But what exactly is going on, and what kind of spell is it? Having already completed his alchemical process, only Harry has the true will or intention needed to break the spell over Alessa. He's definitely being used by Dahlia. Here's a little bit of dialogue here. So she says, "I was careless, thinking you couldn't escape from our spell. Now you're half indebted to this man for his help." Only Harry's true intention breaks the spell over Alessa. No longer needing Harry, Dahlia alludes to one last ceremony before she and Alessa disappear. Now remember, Dahlia's she's using sorcery. She's trying to control Alessa's spirit. Ultimately, that will fail. Because as we know, when we try to control anyone else, we can only really control our true intention within ourselves. We can't control others. That's where the sorcerer makes their biggest error, right? A sorcerer can only... When a sorcerer tries to control others, they lose their own power. They lose their own true intention. So, and we'll see this happen to Dahlia like every sorcerer in all of the classic stories. We at part 22, entering the unknown. Remember that part of the game in Silent Hill where it's like really confusing? Well, that's for a very good reason. So perhaps Harry might have been manipulated in some nefarious way through his journey in order to fulfill the will of Dahlia and the Order, which I believe he actually was. However, at this point, Harry makes mention of this fact and decides to keep going. His awareness is at a higher level now, having gone through those steps of alchemy previously in the game and having been transformed. And after all, he's going to protect Cheryl no matter what. So he's fully invested in this. He even makes a comment, "I'm being summoned." What does that mean? So deeper into the unconscious Harry's going. In Silent Hill games, there are no shortage of holes, elevators.
I no longer want these emotions.
In Silent Hill, there's always holes to jump into, elevators, stairs, ladders to climb down. all of which signify one thing, and that's going deeper into the great unknown of the unconscious, going into the unconscious, right? And of course, even Harry makes mention of that. He says, I have a feeling if I take the elevator, I'll find out. He's going even deeper. That's what these are all symbols for. This is the final area in the game, and this is called the unknown. This is notoriously confusing. This is where knowledge of the alchemical symbols and ceremonies revealed earlier in the game will help the player move forward. Harry will need to backtrack through the steps of alchemy, demonstrating his understanding or mastery of these concepts in order to progress through the level. That's why this level on the surface doesn't make any sense. But if you're paying attention and you're a student of the occult, then you should be able to navigate this part of the game with relative ease. That's the whole point of this exercise here. That's the whole point of this level. There's also something else going on, and it's another occult concept, order out of chaos. So Harry's confronted with a rather chaotic and confusing final level. We all know this is a really, in the first Silent Hill game, this is the most confusing level I think of any Silent Hill game I can think of. He must be able to make order out of chaos somehow, okay? Order out of chaos is a very well-known concept in occult circles, especially in the Scottish Rite Freemasonry practice. From the Latin order ab chaos, this signifies moving from the darkness into the light, which is the entire point of alchemy, right? It's the underlying theme to the game, obviously. Harry finds himself back at Midwich, right? He goes through a door and he's in Midwich. It's like, wait, what's going on here? These are all very specific teachings that Harry is... Well, I wouldn't say teachings because he's already learned the lessons, or he should have. But these are very significant tests that he's being put through now, right? He reads on the desk, the carvings on the desk, go home, thief, drop dead. Alessa's abuse at school is revealed to him. Midwich is also where Harry must retrieve the pliers and the screwdriver for which will aid Harry in repeating the same theme of uniting masculine and feminine energies, originally expressed at Midwich. So he's really just, he's being tested at this point on what to do. And if you remember the unifying of the energies at Midwich, then this part should be pretty easy, right? Harry uses the pliers to remove the key of Ophiel from the faucet. We already know that Ophiel represents silver and the feminine aspect energy in alchemy. That's one of the 7 Olympian spirits. And the fact that it's stuck in a water faucet shouldn't be a mystery at this point, right? It's, water, feminine. There's definitely a pattern here, right? This isn't done at random, by the way, guys. Nothing in the occult is done at random. And this, time after time, this game is showing just how much the creator of Silent Hill knew about the occult, which was quite a lot. In the next puzzle, Harry must obtain the Stone of Time by counting the limbs of each astrological sign on the pillar. The first astrological sign on the pillar is the centaur, which symbolizes unifying of the opposites, right? Because you have the man and the beast. You have the higher. The man represents the higher order, the consciousness, and the beast is the lower order, or the unconscious. So you're unifying conscious and unconscious, or unifying the opposites. And the next one is the Amulet of Solomon. I love this one. This is really great. This represents the unified polarity of masculine and feminine again, right? The upward facing triangle superimposed with the upside down triangle. This can also be expressed as yin and yang, order and chaos, light and dark. However you wish to understand it, it doesn't matter. The name Solomon itself conceals the deep meaning of this symbol, however. Solomon comes from the Hebrew word shalom, meaning peace. Solomon has 3 syllables. Syllables indicate how many root words make up an entire word. So let's break this down into its 3 parts. From the Latin, Sol, Omon. That's the 3 words of Solomon. Or sun and moon. Sol is sun in Latin. O is and mon is moon. That's where we get Monday and where we get moon. Of course, the balance of sun and moon equals peace. So the Seal of Solomon tells us everything we need to know about balancing of the yin and yang, or the sun and moon energies, the masculine and feminine. And of course, Harry's a student of the occult, and he's gone through the 7 steps of alchemy. So he should know these things, and so should the player if they're a student of the occult. In the next cutscene, Harry meets Lisa again for the last time. After repressing her worst fears through the entire game, Lisa finally acknowledges what has been troubling her so deeply. At the same time, this awareness is brought into the light for Harry. So she's sharing this awareness with Harry. So this is another alchemical operation, or another, you could say, demonstration of his understanding, right? And she's sharing this with him. The Stone of Time that Harry acquires is put into the clock, and the Key of Haggath is revealed. Why? It's because the Key of Haggath is the Olympian spirit associated with the unification of the masculine and feminine, in which the true self is revealed. So Haggath's element is Earth, his planet is Venus. This key he's going to use a little bit later. Only after Harry uses the Key of Haggath, this is only, so he uses the Key of Haggath and he can enter this room. The Olympian spirit associated with the unification of masculine and feminine, only when he uses it is he able to enter the next area, where he finds the crest of Mercury and the ring of contract. Both of these symbols convey a deep significance in the uniting or alchemical marriage of masculine and feminine energies. We'll discuss each of these in detail. You might have seen this crest of Mercury around, maybe on ambulances or on hospitals. I know the Army Corps of Engineers uses this. They use it wrongly, though, because it's actually the staff of Asclepius. It's the one snake on the staff is what the medical profession actually uses. But the crest of Mercury, or they call it the caduceus, or the staff of Hermes, this symbolizes the rising Kundalini energy, meaning coiled in Sanskrit. So this comes from, this comes to us from a far older tradition in the Middle East. So this actually is the alchemical marriage, and this, which emanates from the triangle-shaped sacrum bone at the base of the spine. These are the chakras, right, moving through the 7 chakra points of the human body. Each coil on the staff correlates to the 7 steps of alchemy. If you count these, you'll see 7. You'll see 7 parts where they coil. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps of alchemy. Of course, the highest step is symbolized here at the crown chakra, and this is the divinity symbolized by the wings. So, there's a lot going on with this symbol. But this is actually the staff of Hermes. The staff of Asclepius is what's used. It's the one snake, and is actually supposed to be a parasite wound on a stick, because people had parasites, I guess, back then, or there's a lot of parasite problems, and they would put a stick in your arm or leg or wherever the parasite was, and they would wind the parasite out on that stick. It would be one parasite. And they would hang a drawing of that outside of a doctor's office, so that was the doctor. So, snakes symbolize renewal since they molt, since they shed their skin. The dance of the sun and moon energies propelling each other upward, right, is the upward to enlightenment is what's being shown by the caduceus here, or the staff of Hermes. Here's another way to look at it. Okay. This on the left, these are the chakras. starting with the sacrum chakra at the base of the spine, moving all the way up through the body to the crown chakra, right? And this is you can kind of see the staff of Hermes and how it interplays with the human body, with the human mind body. Okay, and this is Kabbalah, this is the tree of life, and there's also a correlation with the body in the 7 steps here. And of course, here's some planets superimposed that are related to these chakra points. And it's all about energy. Okay. The ring of contract. This is interesting. So the ring of contract is found in the same room as the crest of Mercury. Crest of Mercury, of course, is the caduceus. It's the same thing, staff of Hermes, the 2 snakes. It has many names. Both of these are meant to signify the alchemical marriage of enlightenment. The ring is a symbol of lasting contract. A wedding ceremony uses the ring to establish the contract of eternity till death do us part. Because the ring goes on around and around and around. It's a cycle, but it goes on forever. The ring is associated with the planet Saturn. In Greek mythology, Kronos, Saturn, was the ruler of time. Kronos translates to time. That's where we get the word time. After unlocking the bird cage, so I'm jumping ahead here, but the next step, Harry unlocks the bird cage, and he acquires the key of Phaleg. Okay. Phaleg represents the masculine energy. It is the conscious process of deciding what to discard and what to reintegrate into oneself. Phaleg's element is air. His planet is Mars. Harry then uses the key of Phaleg to unlock the door, which has the seal of Bethor imprinted on it. In case you haven't noticed, Harry has been working somewhat backwards through the 7 alchemical stages. The reasoning for this isn't quite clear, but the steps of spiritual alchemy can be done in any order, with the exception of the first and final steps. Obviously, you have to start with the first step, and you have to end with, you have to start with the alchemical or metaphysical lead or base, the prima materia, and you have to end with the last step. But the steps in between, they can be somewhat mixed around. So the ring of contract is then used as the link to unite the chains. Notice there are a total of 7 links in the chain, just like the 7 steps in alchemy. Coincidence? I don't think so. Take at face value, using a ring to secure a chain in order to retrieve a dagger stuck in a fridge doesn't seem to make any sense at all, unless you have eyes to see, right? So he has to put that chain there in order to get the dagger of Melchior. Melchior is very, very interesting. I didn't know anything about Melchior until I studied this game, and it was very interesting. So only after the 7 links in the chain of alchemy are united can Harry acquire the dagger of Melchior, which is sticking out of the top of the fridge. The unification of the lower, right, because the chain's in the lower part, makes available the attainment of the higher. As above, so below. So that's why the sword of Melchior is up in the top of the fridge, and the chain is at the bottom. They thought of everything. So it should come as no surprise that the name Melchior was originally one of the 3 kings in the story of the birth of Christ. Nor should it be any surprise that Melchior brought the gift of gold. Hello. Pretty obvious. After all, uniting of the 7 steps results in achieving gold, or alchemical gold, spiritual gold. Enlightenment, if you will. A most valuable substance in the exoteric sense, as well as in the sense of the divine esoteric realm. So here's Melchior just chilling right here on the right. One of the 3 kings. The next key recovered is the key of Bethor. Working backwards, Bethor is the second to last key, or Olympian spirit, in alchemy. Bethor's element is water. His planet is Jupiter. His metal is tin. Harry enters the childhood room of Alessa, where we see a ghost-like image of her. The Ankh is recovered in this room. The Ankh is commonly associated with eternal life. It is only after reaching the highest level of alchemical gold can one's heart be measured against a feather by Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead, who carries the Ankh in his left hand. Harry then uses the key of Bethor and enters the generator room and switches on the power. The process of deciding to turn on the generator demonstrates Harry's intention and sets the stage for the final key to be obtained. So he's getting close here. It's only after Harry recovers and uses the key of Eritron that the lowest and most nefarious moment in the game is revealed. The Olympian spirit Eritron is the first step in alchemy and is associated with the element of fire. Eritron's planet is Saturn. His element is lead. These, of course, are the lowest substances in the alchemical process. So he's definitely working backwards here. As soon as he does that, the first step in alchemy is called calcination. This involves heating a substance over an open flame, which we discussed before. Psychologically, this represents the destruction of the ego and attachments to the material realm. Given what we know about the scene that is revealed to Harry, is it any surprise that Alessa appears in the astral form throughout much of the game and has burns all over her entire body? So in this scene here, you can see Dr. Kaufman. There's another unnamed doctor, and there is Dahlia on the right, and I don't know who the other guy is, but they're discussing what to do about Alessa and how to control her. The next thing Harry finds is the Ouroboros, which is fascinating that this would be in the game. The Ouroboros is an Egyptian symbol for the cycle of death and rebirth throughout the universe. So it's the snake eating its own tail. The universe is, so it can be seen as the force which simultaneously dissolves everything and creates new life. So in order for new life to be created, things must dissolve and pass forms, right? They must pass into other forms so that other things can be created. So that's the snake eating its own tail. It's an endless cycle of everything's dissolving, yet things around, everything around us is slowly degrading and dissolving, but also at the same time, new things are coming into existence, and it's that cycle. So that's what the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, represents. This is the final esoteric symbol Harry needs to collect in order to proceed to his last and greatest test in the game. Harry enters Alessa's room. There is a door with indentations for 5 symbols to be placed. These are among the world's most sacred and deeply meaningful symbols. And these are about as occult symbol, these are about as occult as you can get. By placing all symbols on the door, Harry is making his final rite of passage into the most deeply profound and important occult ritual in the entire game. It could be seen as a synthesis of all of the previous ceremonies that came before this moment. So this is the ultimate test. Most of the artifacts Harry collects can be seen here in this logo of the Theosophical Society. We talked about the Theosophical Society with L. Frank Baum. He was the creator of he was the creator of the Wizard of Oz story. So Theosophy is the study of comparative religions around the world. So if we look at their symbol there, you can see what's going on. There is no religion higher than truth. So this is a recognition that all of the world's religions share the same occult knowledge, right? You have the Egyptian Ankh in the center. By the way, the Christian cross is very much modeled from the Egyptian Ankh. You have the Seal of Solomon, the right side up triangle and upside down triangle. And notice this triangle, some interesting things going on here. with this triangle. The triangle is white, which represents the light or the conscious or the male. The upside down triangle is black. It represents the unconscious, the female, the intuitive, right? Women are associated with the moon and the night. Men associated with the sun and the day. But also notice where these triangles overlap, right? That's pretty telling as well. We can see there's actually a yin-yang thing going on here with these triangles. If you can see the overlap, the male overlaps with the feminine on the upper right, but because that's one of the four elements. And then so each conjunction, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, these have some overlap. So the female in the lower part overlaps the male. There's a lot going on here. And of course, here's the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, right? This is the swastika of I believe this comes from Jainism. This is, you can find this in the Hindu culture, right? This is the four elements: earth, wind, fire, water, right? And of course, this is the Om, the Sanskrit Om. So by placing each of these artifacts on the door, Harry is demonstrating the close relation and synthesis these seemingly separate objects have with one another. So this is the final rite of passage. So Harry actually finds the Ouroboros, the Seal of Solomon, the Ankh. So there's three of them right there.